compositions, tons of pressure when it comes to execution on the side of DRX. Gen.G sitting comfortably, knowing that they are up a game. A spot in finals on the line. Can Gen.G move up to 2-0, move to match point, or will DRX be able to fire back? We wanted to see more in the draft phase. We wanted to see a curveball, and we certainly have found it now. The Caitlyn and Lux, the Ahri to match the Sylas on the opposite side. Very different look as we gear up for game 2.
A lot of pressure on DRX to look for these plays now. You've got the Ahri, you've got the pushing bot, you need to act upon it. Kindred is a champion that, when I was a professional jungler in scrims, you would get a lot of stacks, you'd fight a lot in marks, and you'd be able to find lots of stacks in the early stages, but on stage in professional games, it almost becomes an objective. You know, when the enemy jungle has a stack in your jungle, you make sure it's warded, you make sure you're around to cover it. DRX, of course, we talked about the level 1s. We talked about Graves' level 1s. Normally it's been on blue side towards top to take away your red buff, and of course you can fight back against most junglers with Graves level 1. So I wonder if DRX is thinking about that, and they're conscious of it, of Peanut just walking in alongside Ruler and Lehends and forcing DRX back.
Oh, and it's Comet. Ruler could be going for the lethality build, just trying to outrange, outpoke here.
Yeah, I think it was Hope who was the majority of the time playing Hail of Blades Varus, but Comet Varus also works very well. Double Comet in bot to push back against the Caitlyn Lux. I've said push a lot because that's just how Caitlyn works. You get push, you can win. If you don't get push as Caitlyn, you're very useless. So this is the late invade that Gen.G are going for, I wonder.
Speaking of push the connect button and make sure to grab the exclusive Very Nasa's Much Wow emote from Prime Gaming by connecting your League of Legends account with your Prime account. Turn our attention back towards this one, of course. Tracking the early mark, tracking bot lane a lot. Very explosive bot lane. Double Comet, something we need to keep our eye on, and both sides opting for longsword 3-pots. Again, less all-in power, but the sustain, the immediate effective health you get from just having 3-pots in lane, much higher.
Nice E there by BeryL, will land the first poke. Mantra Q really important here in this lane. Trying to poke them out as much as possible, but Lehends will focus on the creeps to contest the push. Pyosik starting topside. Peanut, he's gonna go for the invade, so he didn't go for the level 1, but he's going for the level 2. There's a ward right next to the brush that'll spot him, and
big.
Pyosik will know. But the information doesn't help, does it? Because you're losing your red. Pyosik has to go to Peanuts right now, and your Caitlyn Lux are on a split map. I think this is a huge blunder from DRX, because your Caitlyn Lux will not be able to get the push. They'll send under their tower, and what are you playing towards? You're playing towards your Gragas lane, right? So Peanut, really good play here to deny Pyosik from affecting bot and helping out this Caitlyn Lux.
Pressure now on Pyosik to really have a big impact again, because as you highlighted, the damage is done by isolating that lane. Peanut walking down immediately forces BeryL and Deft to back up.
Oh.
And if we look back, everyone knows the potential of this lane. You've seen the masterclass games, you've seen the flawless games where Caitlyn is getting 10 tower plates in 5 minutes. This is not going to be one of those games when Peanut is already shutting it down in the early game.
Yeah, and it's kind of frozen as well, so it's just so hard for DRX to step up that wave. Pyosik hopefully will cross back into bot side here and try to help out this bot lane to get that push. Waiting for the cannon to die there so he doesn't get spotted. Quite smart play to make sure he's in fog of war. For all Peanut could know, he could be on Raptors right now, he could be on his Krugs, could be even ganking towards top side. So Peanut might get a bit of a surprise when he sees Pyosik in this bot side jungle. 10 seconds on the crab spawn. Peanut will go towards the wolves. We'll see if Pyosik can roll a good spawn on his mark, but Ruler and Lehends might be pushing up.
The entire time Pyosik is looking for this angle. Camps are being cleared. He is betting so much just to be here. He reveals himself on the bottom side. BeryL immediately flashing forward, waiting on the binding, but the binding goes wide. Lehends still standing. One, looking for more stacks in the mounting dread, but they cannot find the kill. Only the summoner spell, and Ruler firing back. Oh man, he's a monster.
The 2v3 turned in favor of Gen.G. There was so much hesitation from DRX. BeryL trying to flash on top of Lehends to land the Q when he flashes away. Just about misses it. Peanut will get bot crab. Could look for his Raptors here as well, so he's going to get off to a sizable lead. I would love to see that replay again, because I'm really not sure what Pyosik was doing. I thought he could have just picked up the kill onto Lehends with his flash, but he opted to back away. But I'll hold my breath till we see it.
Certainly something we're going to have to wait for. And remember, Pyosik used so much time to be there, to make that play happen. He moved down to the bottom side of the map. He did not take his own camps, and now Peanut is making his way into the mid lane. That's smoke screen slow. Looking for a bit more damage, taking his time on this one. Incredible patience from Zeka, even standing in the smoke screen, even with zero information, knew that he was safe.
Is he confident enough to cross into topside here and take away that next crab? No smite, but it's the Kindred stack. It's so important, but Zeka's basic
Chovy
right now.
moving up.
He's gonna have to
needs to get out.
Yeah, he's gonna have to get out. Double crab, lost his Raptors. It's a disaster for the Kindred in the early stages.
For the DRX fans out there, this hurts because you know how important this early game was. You know that Deft and BeryL needed to get off to a good start, but they bet everything on this play and it turned against them.
So Deft is just calling here. Let's just go on this this karma. This must be a free kill. What does Pyosik do here? He lands the E. Why doesn't he go forwards? He must think that the play is off when the binding misses, but he could get in easily a couple more autos there with the flash. There's no heal on Ruler, and BeryL commits the flash to make sure it happens. And it's the comment.
Oh, it's a little pebble!
And the Scorch that gets the kill, I believe, and turns the 2v3 on its head.
You can see the joy on Ruler's face. He knows that they were already winning just by surviving that play, just by holding on. The fact that they get the kill as well is incredible. And crushing for DRX.
Yeah.
As comedic as that reaction was.
Crushing indeed, and Ruler's going towards the lethality. Varus build will be a poke champion, and we'll try to push DRX off of these objectives the longer the game goes.
So let's take stock. Already you're seeing almost 1,000 gold in the favor of Gen.G. That's the CS discrepancy on the bottom side, the massive CS discrepancy in the jungle. XP-wise, DRX still leading the charts, although it's neck and neck. Zeka and Chovy both ticking over to level 5, almost level 6 now.
Pyosik looking down towards his bot side again. He knows he needs to get the ball rolling. Lehends has no flash. Wonder if he's going to jump over and then blast cone back into the bush to make sure he avoids the ward. No, he's just going to run straight through, but Lehends has no flash and he'll be here first.
So there's also a very scary boy. Meanwhile, on the top side, Kingen and Doran trading back and forth. Pyosik, he's only level 4. Lehends isn't even concerned. He's not even scared. There's no red buff to back him up. Oh, looking for the 1v1. Kingen now getting hit. It's a big hammer. The Orn now trying to get him down. They're both ticking. Oh, look at the blinking health bars. The flash out. It's so tense. He's buying time. He's waiting for cooldown. That's the passive backup and available. 8 seconds. He gets the healing just in time. The thumbs up, baby. It's okay. They're going to walk away. Both men standing.
What a
great day.
What a great fight. Doran just trying to flash R2 and Kingen knocks him back into it because he knew Doran would flash over it. Both of them walk away. Peanut now on this bot side.
We've got to keep our eyes. How close is Ruler to level 6? That is going to be the engage tool they need to start getting aggressive onto BeryL and Deft. Stepping forward, big poke, BeryL, the snare. Once it connects, they're going to hit the free target. No intent, turning to Deft.
Oh.
Big damage, can't even dodge that one as he stands in the smoke screen.
Little bait and switch there. BeryL was the target, so Deft thought he could weave in auto attacks to push them back. Pyosik level 5 now though, but sorry to Dirk on the graves. Face check could be good. Zeka doesn't have a lot of mana though to join.
Pyosik getting aggressive, mounting Dread, big source of damage, does get that down initially.
That's the stack right there. That's Kindred's mark. He needs that stack.
Flash forward! Ooh, not this time! This time there's a shield. Matt doesn't quite check out.
Yeah, Ruler thought he had the damage there with the full stack WQ auto. BeryL lives. I think Pyosik did get that stack. Yeah, so he's sitting on 1 and he'll find Peanut once again.
Need to run him down. Trading aggro on the blue. The zone now going to fade away. All those extra dashes no longer available. Peanut now taking control of the objective. Chovy still under his tower for now, but Pyosik knows that he needs to get out.
So let's take stock of the game. There's been so much fighting, but only one singular kill in the 2v3. DRX are trying to contest this bot side to get Caitlyn the push as quickly as they can, try and get some stacks on this Kindred. All the meanwhile, though, Zeka's been building a lead in isolation. 17 CS difference right now on this Ahri. We saw them trade ultimates a little bit earlier on, and now the Herald is spawning. Zeka quite low and no potions. Chovy the same, so Peanut will help him push out. Pyosik's looking for another stack, and he will get Peanut's Raptors sitting on 2 right now.
Definitely good after the fumble earlier in the game, after that gank went awry. And again, for Zeka, this is so much and means so much for the series as we move forward. Because we're really just used to talking about his Akali, talking about his Sylas, but if the Ahri can get added to the list as well, it's going to be big as Lehends poking in from the side. Ruler level 6 as well. Deft and BeryL debating if they can just get aggressive onto Ruler, but the cleanse being there makes it so difficult.
It does, but then the target becomes Lux, it becomes BeryL. Ruler can just shoot out his ultimate onto this Lux and she will die with the ignites, with the Mantra Q. That's an easy pickup, so BeryL has to play with a lot of respect. The damage has been done to this bot side. Kingen no flash, doesn't get hit by the knockup, but the ultimate.
As his ultimate available, is going to throw it out, just knocking them away. But it is pressure on the top side. Kingen going to be forced to back away from the wave. Should be an easy push out now for Doran.
So Herald is up. Peanut, is he going to start it? Yes, he is. So I think, let's look at Pyosik here on the minimap. Is he going to go to Gromp and try to take the stack away to get to 3 and try to get to 4 as quick as possible? Or does he think he's in time to fight the Herald? Looks like he's moving up. 2v2 on the horizon. No ultimate for Doran, no TP, so that means Kingen can join this in a 3v2. And Peanut just going to reset this Herald, no mid push. Not confident enough to take it, and I'll give it over to DRX. You have to expect with BeryL basing, he can move up here, and Ruler, of course, is going to deny the Gromp to stop the stack from being picked up.
Good heads-up play to take that one away as Kingen now comes down. Giving up the Herald, definitely not ideal for Gen.G, but remember, just a few minutes ago, it was about a 1,000 gold lead. DRX have been bringing it back. Even if they have not found that kill, keeping it within touching distance, the Herald really going to even out that discrepancy as Zeka continues to trade aggressively in the mid lane. No kill pressure on Chovy quite yet, but has to be careful.
Zeka is doing a great job. We were wondering what his pick into Sylas is when we give up the Akali ban. 20 CS lead, 2 plates, and he has a Herald. So now all of a sudden a win condition for DRX has arose. They can just put the Herald down mid here and just try to take a full tower because Zeka is winning his lane. TP back from Chovy won't be in time though because Peanut is on the dragon. He almost picked up for Ruler. This should be an easy first blood tower and this gold lead will go in favor of DRX. So bot lane has fallen apart, but they've now relied on Zeka. Are they going to keep going here? They see Doran top. They know Peanut's on dragon, but they are going to back away.
Fishing with the charm, they will not find it, but it is on the back of Zeka. The individual advantage he was able to build, that they are able to use that Herald. The mid lane now, Deft walking down, trying to zone away. Pyosik on the way in, is he just gonna smite it? Baiting, taking it out.
No one had smite! Nobody had smite! That was really awkward stare down. Peanut just got it the last second. But, okay, so the dragon does go over to Gen.G, and now they're gonna try to stop them from getting into bot to look for a plate, but very messy. I like the confidence, but that smoke screen did work.
Peanut waiting in the darkness. Big damage now going to come in. Karma firing it over the wall, chunking them out. Potentially trying to open up the option for a dive. Pyosik in the area, though, with the Lamb's Respite. Not going to give them anything else here.
Yeah, Peanut's going to take the base, and chunking them out is all you want to do in this lane. That's exactly what this lane's all about. Just poke, poke, poke. The more the lands, the better it is for the Varus. But it's Zeka right now who's sitting with the lead. 600 gold, roughly. That mid-tier one's down. Now he can start moving around the map, and I hold my breath for a second as Pyosik is still hovering around this bot side. Not much action to be done, but Ruler has no flash. They only have one Lux binding a CC, and he has got the cleanse to respond to it. Now he'll get spotted on this pink, and the play will be off.
Play is going to fizzle, of course, on the bottom side of the map, really. Ruler continuing to build that advantage more and more. Getting that early Youmu's, having the tier stacking up as well. Now with the Umbral Glaive on Peanut too, the game gets so much more difficult. The vision line for DRX is slowly but surely just going to get whittled down. And for Kingen on the top side, he's been staying in these lane phases for so long, but he's just running out of mana. Maybe vulnerable to a dive soon. It doesn't look like they're going to try to push any greater advantage here. Just happy to give Doran the recall.
Yeah, he should be fine. He has the TP, but Zeka just used his back to mid. Now has the Everfrost. Look at the item disparity in mid lane. Zeka should be able to dominate this, get the waves in, and start pushing towards the side lanes. Of course, Zeka was one of the young talents from BLG, went across to the LPL, across to China, and he was a very highly sought mid laner coming into this year. DRX able to pick him up off the back of Kingen, who's actually a very close friend of his, convinced him to come over to the LCK, drop the LPL, and join him in the ranks of DRX, and now he's having a standout year. Regular season was very good, but Worlds so far, he is looking like a superstar.
And the evolution of Zeka has been a pleasure to watch, because we heard from Deft in an interview he did with Ashley Kang that he's always been a great player in scrims, but that bringing that level of performance to the stage has always been a struggle, and you catch glimmers of it when they're barely able to make it to Worlds, and you see more of it in play-ins, and then more again in groups and quarters, and now here we stand at semifinals against Chovy, one of, if not the best mid laner in the world, struggling. And obviously, Zeka getting the counter pick, but this is exactly what you want from your mid laner when you are facing down Gen.G.
Yeah, and that's exactly it as well, because when you pick these counter picks, you need them to have value, and we're seeing the value come out of Zeka despite being up against such a titan in the mid lane. And Pyosik still hovering around mid now. Looks like he wants to push Chovy back, but this constant mid push is allowing Deft and BeryL to keep up with the tempo of Gen.G. You can see they're first towards top, no Herald in their back pocket, 2 minutes from either neutral objective, so we'll see how the rotations go. But for now, it looks like DRX want to keep Zeka in mid. They don't want to put Deft in there. They don't want to have Zeka on a side lane just yet. And Ruler will start to have to give up the push, because of Zeka. He's the key right now for DRX to unlocking this map.
And it's very, very important that DRX do not take their foot off the gas as they try to continue to leverage Zeka's advantage or build advantages elsewhere, because their composition as a whole, incredibly, hold that thought, incredibly squishy. And when you look at Ruler and you think about lethality bars as we get later in the game, yes, this champion has been nerfed time after time after time, but a single good arrow in a late game team fight will take out half the health bars of every DRX member.
It really will, and we're on the cusp of the game breaking in either side with these neutrals spawning. If Zeka falls, Gen.G will push both these side lanes in so quickly and take either side lane tower. If Zeka stays alive, then they can make it so Deft is even again with Ruler. These next few minutes will be really important in dictating how the game will go around these dragon fights. So here comes Zeka again, up towards his top side. Ruler would love to hit this tower, but he can't because there's an Ahri around. He's just trying to poke Deft away. Can't walk up and hit.
definitely difficult. Getting a few autos here and there, but definitely not able to fully commit to the tower as Lehends tries to push the vision line forward, grouping up with Peanut, regaining control here. BeryL has to be careful now that the binding is down. Just to back away.
Wow, okay. So they're going to give it up. Deft getting chunked out. You talked about the lethality Varus taking health bars, and Deft got hit by a few too many. They don't feel confident enough in the 4v3 to hold this.
Oh, and this is brutal. This is taking your time, just trying to make sure the enemy AD carry gets absolutely as little CS as possible. Goodbye to that cannon. Making sure that falls before the tower does, and now pushing the rest of the wave in.
So, Dragon in 25, Herald in 40. Looking at DRX's positioning, it's a bit awkward, isn't it? Because you've got your 3-man towards bot side looking for this Dragon, but Deft solo pushing out top. Kingen TP's bot. Pyosik will find Doran, and Ruler will get his base off. Gen.G will be the first to the objective with this numbers advantage, with Chovy having the TP, and it looks like Dragon is the call, so Deft's gonna have to join his team as quick as possible.
That is the call. He's now running his way down. One item for Deft, the Gale Force. On the opposite side, Ruler not opting for a mythic quite yet. Instead focused just on more lethality, more AD, man immune, surely around the corner. But the Dragon, again, looks like it will be uncontested. Gen.G don't feel like they need to take this one out. Second Herald about to spawn. They will turn their sights towards the top side of the map instead. Don't really feel like they need the Dragon stacking as a win condition. And Infernal is going to be the soul this time around. So the stacking going to be more important than it was in the game one.
Yeah, they had double TP, but they choose for the cross map. But DRX are around, and they're hovering to contest. They get the mid push in. Kingen has joined his team. Doran still on the spot side will look for the bot tier 1 that's incredibly low. So Gen.G right now are buying time for this Ornn to push in, take the tower, and then once the tower is down, then they will TP up with the Ornn and try to take this fight. So DRX are on a timer here. They have about 10 to 15 seconds to play with while Kingen's around mid before they have to go back towards bot. So they want to force something, but they need to make sure they're not too impatient.
Can't be too impatient, can't be too slow. Herald now going to reset, and the window is closed, really. Doran can just TP up now. Kingen now has to return to the bottom lane. Doran with a TP advantage can use his TP to come to the fight. So again, small trades continuously going in the favor of Gen.G in this instance, and Zeka, well, it was pretty massively ahead. Chovy getting farm on these side lanes has been steadily catching up.
He has got a shutdown on himself now, 150 gold, only down 10 CS. So that window's closed like I talked about. Zeka has to catch top, Kingen has to catch bot lane, and the Herald will go over. I expect that to be used in the mid lane. Try and take down that mid tower to stop the Caitlyn from being able to walk up. Oh, this poke Varus is doing so much work and getting that mid push as well, isn't it? Ruler, of course, he's famous for the Varus. Actually, hang on a second.
Down, big damage, picking up supports. Not quite enough. The healing coming in from Lehends opts to empower the snare, so gets the initial healing there. As Pyosik, patience on the sidestep. Is Ruler just fishing, maybe hoping to catch the dash?
Yeah, I think that's exactly what he was looking for. Looked a bit awkward, but was hoping that maybe Pyosik would backstep and then kind of jump towards the backside, and maybe they could pick up the kill that way. Won't hurt him too much. There's no objectives to fight over, so that'll be back up. And it was the Varus ult from Ruler that solidified the World Championship, that actually caught out Faker in the mid lane on the Karma, and it's what pushed him to that world title. Of course, there's 2 world champions in this game, Ruler and BeryL, staring at each other opposite ends on the bot lane. Chovy, though,
Fishing for the 1v1, will find it. Dash being matched for Dash. Everfrost for Everfrost. Trading back and forth, but Chovy still on the hunt. Chovy still fishing for more, but Zeka will make it out.
Nerves of steel from Zeka. Doesn't panic flash the chain. Knows he'll be all right. Knows it won't connect. DRX now pressuring on the spot side, and despite this lane lead that Zeka has built up for himself, he's actually losing out on the side lane when Chovy can take away that ultimate. Kingen right now, Pyosik right now is on 3 stacks. Needs 1 more to push himself to that 4. It's on the Gromp, but he can't find his way into the bot side jungle, so Gen.G are going to force towards mid. Zeka has the TP, Chovy does not.
And this is the struggle of playing against Gen.G when they deny so many avenues. Against Gen.G, it felt like a brawl. Left and right, trades back and forth. But here against DRX, Gen.G are bleeding them out. No avenues of attack, no options to come back in. And we look back to the start of the game. So much of this comes down to Peanut, the early jungle pathing, isolating the bot lane. And while Pyosik tried to force the play on the bottom side, the second that went awry, it felt like Gen.G were in absolute control. The one sliver of hope that DRX were really holding on to was Zeka, was his individual advantage, but it just has not amounted to anything greater than a laning lead.
Yeah, they're gonna have to look for team fights around these dragons soon. The problem is, when you play with Caitlyn, the reason the push is so important is because then when you're first to the dragon, you can have a trap set up. Pyosik
over the wall, fishing out for Lehends, forcing the flash out early. Peanut now gonna find an angle there. Pyosik goes right back over. Maybe gonna look to commit a little bit more here. Doran in the area as well. Chovy in top lane. Pyosik wants Lehends. Will be spotted out here. Play will stop there, but fishing for that opportunity, taking the flash away from the Karma. Big in the fights to follow him. Pyosik wants to keep this one going. He's got the Kraken Slayer. He does good damage. He knows that in the long fight, he can take down Doran.
This is great for DRX because now this mid push will mean that they can move towards bot. That tower is still available and Pyosik trying to push Doran back. We'll see if Gen.G has a response. Chovy has the TP. I don't think they can step up too far for this because next mid wave's coming in. Baron spawning soon. They need to make sure they have some kind of topside vision. So Doran will clear out the wave. Flash down on Lehends will mean that DRX can look to punish that later on around these neutral fights, but DRX want to keep this Dragon set up. 40 seconds on the spawn. Everyone's going to base. Gen.G coming out of base as well. Pings on the Baron, though. You can see all those pings on the minimap on the top side. I wonder what DRX are thinking. Deft just picking up that rapid fire. 2 items on the Caitlyn. Ruler has the 2 items as well.
I mean, you do have double 80 carries, essentially. Can shred through that objective, but I still think it's going to take much too much time. But maybe a desperation Baron, maybe sneaking something away is an avenue for now. Pyosik holding on to control on the bottom side of the map, looking to take down this Scuttle Crab. Right as a mark respawn, looks like that's going to be his 4th.
Yeah, that's big for the Kindred. But the thing is, they need Caitlyn in here. They need Deft to get down towards this river so they can place the traps down. Caitlyn pushes in lane, puts down traps, and makes it so it's hard for face checks to happen. But Gen.G have already found their way in. They've gone through bot. Peanut's already in the river. Vision contest coming in. Zeka TPing back with the Banshees.
Fight's going to be big. Chovy taking away the ulti. DRX going to try to set up the pseudo frontline, use the traps, gain point control they can. Right now, fishing. Ruler, you're going to get caught out over the wall. Zeka, desperate to get a sidestep on the Lux. That's the Youmuu's Ghost Blade, the extra movement speed, taking him out to safety. Gen.G pulling back for now. Brief pause, 5K. Dragon getting lower. Junglers with smites this time around, wanting to go in, wanting to get a little bit more. Who will take it? In the end, it's ticking, it's resetting, but the Kindred will smite it and take it down, and now the fight turns as Kingen on the backside. DRX standing, 4 members strong, pushing in. They want to break Gen.G. Kingen going over the wall will get locked up. Nobody going to fall in the end, but it is the Dragon to DRX.
DRX push Gen.G back for the first time in this series. Ruler getting caught by the binding by Zeka, forcing him out the fight, meaning that it's basically a 4v5 from the get-go. The Dragon reset making the situation extremely awkward, but DRX get what they came for, losing a couple flashes on their solo layers, but forcing them back onto Gen.G.
Ruler returning to mid lane. Atlanta, hope begins to build once again. Hungry ever for more action. You gotta fight with no kills. They want to see more.
And DRX, they have a lot of standing gold. Top tier 1, bot tier 1, they just need side push. It's a very different game from game 1.
BeryL. Locked down, BeryL clean binding over the wall. Ruler coming in, Peanut flashing to the side. BeryL flashing out to safety, knowing the ult would be the end of him. Ulti will not connect.
Look at Zeka. TP behind, that's Kingen.
It's going to be
Peanut's in
big.
trouble.
This would be everything. Peanut running. Kingen off to the side, the BeryL's going to be big. Zeka now leaping forward. Zeka trying to land everything. It looks like he's going to take down Lehends. Lehends still standing. Lehends still alive. They cannot find him, but Kingen finding one. Kingen looking for a few more, baby. That's the power of the Gragas, and Pyosik will live to see another day. Blocking him down the dash forward, the traps, it just keeps coming, but it's Chovy up to the side with the Lux Laser. Big damage, but not enough to finish the kill.
2-1 on the kill score. DRX pick up 2. Massive TP flank there from Kingen. Zeka with the gap close. Summoners blown, and again Peanut loses his flash. BeryL, on the tip, they're almost falling to Gen.G, who will pick up this tower. Lux Laser won't be enough to slow down the push. And the game goes back to a state of basing and vision control. DRX managed to punish Gen.G this time around, and they're going to look to do so once again.
Credit to DRX, they've been finding the avenues, they've been finding the angles, they've been holding on despite a very difficult early game. Tracking now the items as we return. 2 on the Caitlyn, the extra range, but you can see how hard it is when these arrows connect from Ruler. In a game of auto attacks, Caitlyn's gonna win every time, but if it's just about those abilities, Ruler is hitting like a truck. Only Kingen can really weather the storm. BeryL, Zeka, Deft, all have to be so incredibly careful. Pyosik as well. And now, the Baron and the sights of Gen.G that got set up. It's absolute darkness. The blue ward being used, but Gen.G waiting, hungry.
Zeka pushing out top. Pyosik actually stayed on the bot side of the map. He picked up the blue buff, which had a mark on it. Gen.G really want to start this Baron up, but they don't have damage for it. Poke Varus can't get Baron down quickly. Sylas is not something like an Azir that can burn it down. They can only threaten it, and they need to make DRX walk into them, but they don't take the bait. Pyosik gets another stack on the back half of that. Peanut will pick up the wolf to deny the next one. Let's take a look at the replay here. Peanut wants to smite away, I believe, the big Raptor, or tried to take it away. Binding connects, trap connects, all the damage lands onto him. The E there, 90 caliber net to get the auto attack in. The ultimate means that
picture in picture, live screen, the play now going out. Peanut may have been cut out again, leaping forward. That's going to be the pick. DRX,
that's massive. DRX are going to push in mid. That's a free tower.
Going to be big. DRX, the siege now continues. The power of the Caitlyn finally online. The sieging potential of the double 80 carries. They will break open mid-tier 2. Atlanta comes alive. They are ready for more. They are ready for the 5-game series, and it starts with DRX taking more and more advantages here.
And it starts with Kingen. Saw Peanut on the Wolves there while we went to the replay, actually finds him on the pick. Deft follows up with the ultimate and the Gale Force. Second they pushed down mid there and got the tower. DRX were pinging sideways. They need to push out these sides. Gold still down for DRX, but the game feels very even. DRX have so much playmaking tools, and this is what they lacked in game 1. Ways to gap close and connect onto Gen.G. Sitting on 2 dragons similar to last game, but this time around it's an Infernal Soul. This time it's something that they can force and fight around. 45 seconds on this next dragon. DRX looking to take bases, looking to set up.
And they certainly are not out of the woods yet. Banshee's Veil here, very strong for Zeka to mitigate some of that initial poke. You can see Shadow Flame on the opposite side for Chovy. Surely a death cap to follow. This will be one terrifying Sylas. Crowd alive here, ready for more. 22 seconds on the Infernal. Peanut clearing out what vision he can. DRX taking control of the mid lane for now. Very easy for Ruler to just one-shot the wave. But this is the setup we talked about. This is what is so important when you have a Caitlyn on your team laying down the trap line. Caitlyn, you highlighted it so many times.
A lot of question mark pings in the bot side jungle here. Chovy has TP. He could TP behind DRX right now and sandwich them. The trap line is buying time to make it so Gen.G have to go through bot, but right now he's pushing onto this top tier 2. Gen.G have to fight this though. They're going to be on soul point. There's the TP. There's the double TP. DRX on the dragon.
Peanut up to the side. He wants to make it over the wall. He wants to steal it, but it will not happen yet. Doran in enemy territory. DRX taking their 3rd dragon.
And they're out. They're gone. The top tier 2 is still alive. That's double global from Gen.G and no fight to happen. Dragon over to DRX, and now they're going to move in towards the top side. Doran gets hit by the binding, but no real follow-up here. Gen.G must be a little bit frustrated with this. They invested so much and got nothing from this play.
Ruler just has not been able to hit an arrow. DRX giving him so much respect in these exchanges, taking the Scuttle Crab, returning to the mid lane. Have to be careful about walking in on this one. Gen.G determined to get something back. DRX finally able to fight fire with fire in this game. No longer just letting Gen.G bleed them out. It will no longer be death by 1,000 cuts. Gen.G are going to have to fight fist to fist in this one.
Gen.G kind of have their backs against the wall in a sense right now because DRX will wait. They will just wait 4 minutes and they will fight an Infernal Soul. And Gen.G have the option of 1, try to force a Baron, but it's very hard with Sylas and Varus, or 2, play the waiting game with them and see this Caitlyn get an Infinity Edge. That's the biggest hurdle that they're going to have to overcome. It's so hard to bait DRX into these objectives, into this Baron, because DRX know they can't finish it. They know they don't have the innate DPS, but eventually they're just going to have to do it, I think, after they take these bases and pick up these next cores. Chovy getting close to that Rabadons. Forces will come through. DRX need to keep mid-push, though. Pyosik in trouble.
Burn angle. Pyosik locked down the snare. Surely going to connect now. Pyosik can throw down the Lamb's Rest, but it's Doran from over the wall. Pyosik sidestepping. The healing now going to come in. Oh! But the combo is clean! Ruler and Peanut stand together. Collateral damage. The arrow from Varus. They will find the enemy jungler.
Incredible range there. Pyosik had the flash, but he doesn't flash in time. Jungler down for 30 seconds. Could this be the window for Gen.G to force it up? Kingen low on mana, has the ultimate, is going to base in TP. Gen.G will take this window, and they will force DRX to respond. Caitlyn ults for poke onto BeryL. Zeka has the ultimate. Kingen is back here. Lehends and Ruler looking for a target. Ruler no flash though.
Ruler caught out, knocked back into the wall. It's going to be a big laser! But it won't finish the job. It's just a support Lux. Doran getting pushed out of this one. And again, they don't have the damage to force the Baron, and DRX know it, so they move into the pit. They are fishing for the kill. Zeka leaping forward, looking to lock Doran down. The flashback of the wall. It's Chovy on the backside, but it's Chovy in turn who will be locked up. He's ignited. He dashes out. He's ready to dash back in. But it was not the right call. The shutdown for Deft.
48 seconds on the superstar mid laner of Gen.G. DRX have so much time to work with, and you can see it right there. Gen.G, despite getting a pick onto the enemy jungler, they just can't get the Baron down enough to merit DRX actually being forced to walk in, so they play the range game. Ruler lost his flash, so easy target for Kingen. DRX are not going to force Baron on the back half of that. There's still a top tier 1 up. There's still a bot tier 1 up, and this all comes off the back of Pyosik getting caught out. Doesn't panic though, saves the flash, uses the ultimate, and look at Ruler here on the right-hand side. Gets picked off by Deft, forces his flash out. Pyosik dies, but Gen.G crumble and fall apart around that Baron.
And the combo is clean, the timing's clean to finish the enemy jungler, but we saw in that play the strengths and weaknesses. The strengths, the poke, how quickly they can kill someone. The weaknesses, they cannot do this Baron, but they chose to start it anyway.
Chovy here dashing out, but that chain, did he really want that one to land? Maybe if he got the W in, he could maybe sustain through the Caitlyn ult, but the Gragas E stopped that from happening. Deft, 3 items strong now. Infinity Edge Caitlyn, despite losing the lane phase and being down 40 CS, he is incredibly strong in this mid to late game transition now. And all that time we've spent fighting around this Baron has given more time for this Dragon to spawn. 1 minute 20 seconds on that one. DRX are going to look to get vision around it, look to secure it. Even in a 50-50 scenario, they'll take that because that's going to stay there for the rest of the game. Gen.G struggling to find responses. They're going to try to go through mid here to deny the trap setup from DRX because Zeka, still on this top side, hasn't taken his base. Doran coming through the mid lane now for Gen.G. They'll group up as 5. Chovy with the bot push as well. 1 minute left on this Dragon.
Gen.G doing everything they can to make sure that they can get control of the bottom side of the map. You can see, again, the power of the poke from Varus. And Gen.G have the setup. If they are free to rain down these arrows from afar, they can take fights, they can find picks, they can win the exchanges. But if DRX get the setup, if the Caitlyn traps go down, it is so difficult, it is so hard for Gen.G to fight their way in. Now they stand as 5. They will not be split in the next one. Everything on the line for this Infernal Soul.
30 seconds. Peanut. He's going to find Kingen. Playing with confidence. Chovy's going to push out bots. Look at Zeka though. Zeka's going for an incredible flank around the side. Ruler has no flash. This could be a big,
this could be a big damage. The clutch over the
line.
The follow-up Ruler taken out of the fight, but they don't quite have the damage advantage. And now instead turning back to Doran, taking the Ornn out of the equation. The LD will hit nobody. Zeka, Ruler, Zeka. Remember his name. It was his landing advantage. It was his charm. His charm again, but Peanut can be the difference maker. He can look to turn it, but he will not take the risk. Instead, it will be Infernal for DRX.
And they're going to move towards the Baron, and they're going to get this top tier 1. Gen.G realize they cannot enter the top side of the map, so they'll try to pressure instead. Kingen has the TP. They might get this bot tier 3, but DRX will get so much more. The dive coming in, though.
They overstayed. Kingen is now going to make it out. They need to trade this back for a major objective. Deft and Pyosik burning through it as quickly as they can, but now it's all high-stakes League of Legends. Every single choice, putting them closer and closer to death. Gen.G taking the inhibitor, the parent. Now going to be the trade in the end, the Baron and the Infernal for a single inhibitor. DRX feeling good at the end of the day.
It's a consolation prize. They won't really mind about that inhibitor. They have a Baron buff and they have TP on King, and he'll just sit on bot and just push out these waves. This is 5 minutes of DRX domination. Who'd have thought off the back of their regular season? Losing to KT, losing to Hanwha Live, losing in the first round of playoffs. 5-game series both times to even get here in the first place. And now up against the LCK first seed. T1 couldn't even take them down in the finals. They're sitting in a very, very good spot to take a win here to even up the series. Kingen will buff up these bot lane creeps, push in the waves. Bot tower's alive, but it's Zeka all the way. Flanks onto Ruler, finds a vision pocket, gets his summoners out. And then the knockback means that they turn onto Doran. Zeka gets the reset on the charge, and then he decides to just send it. Dashes forwards, E-flash, just gets onto the AD carry of Gen.G. The world champion falls and DRX rise.
A beautiful, beautiful play. You can see the joy, the elation on the faces of the DRX staff. But again, remember, the DRX, while they are barreling down the bottom lane, while they do have so many advantages, they are not out of the woods yet because Gen.G has not lost to this team this year. They have had bigger leads and they have lost those games. So for DRX, it's eyes on the prize. They have to stay focused in this match.
DRX have been through the trenches to get here. So many 5-game series, regional and international. Up against EDG, they managed to pull off the reverse sweep. Push in bot here, push in mid. Zeka doesn't have the TP, Kingen does. They haven't started the siege just yet, finding it difficult to find the setup. A lot of poke coming out from Gen.G is negating a lot of it. No Bloodthirster onto Deft just yet, means he can't lifesteal through this poke. 3 minutes, 40 seconds though, on an Elder Dragon. We know exactly what that Dragon buff can do. It can turn the tide of an entire game, despite how far behind you are. And despite looking at an Infernal Soul, Gen.G need to buy time for that Dragon to spawn. If they can steal that, that could change everything.
And for now, the map resets. DRX, a minute left on the Baron. The Infernal buff will stay, but this Baron will fade away. Take a deep breath, Atlanta. We got time. We got a 3-minute timer in your corner. That is when it will become do or die. In the meantime, it'll be fishing for picks. It'll be looking for angles. It'll be fighting for vision, picking up waves, and looking for those final items. Perhaps DRX aren't content to wait. For now, pushing in, taking vision, looking to gain control over the map.
Kindred sitting on 7 stacks now. Pyosik does a lot of damage in these fights. So what happened with this Baron buff? With 30 seconds remaining on that buff, they've taken 2 side lane tier 1s. They're looking for this top tier 2 as well. DRX want to push it mid and move towards top. Poke coming in from Ruler doesn't do too much damage. Plated steel caps onto Pyosik. Will pick up the red buff as well to get that innate regen on his health bar. This is basically the last Baron buffed up wave. And Gen.G will clear it out. The siege has stopped. DRX will back away. But they sit with a hefty gold lead and that Infernal Dragon Soul.
And how quickly the stakes have risen, and again, you highlighted how much DRX had been through to get to this series, to get to this match. But even in this game, it felt lost at times in that early game. The bottom side being shut down. The Caitlyn Lux, though, coming to their own in this mid game, partly on the back of Pyosik and most certainly Zeka. Highlight moments from this man across the match.
Oh, as well as Kingen. He's been finding so many picks for DRX. He's been the one setting it up or following up enough to make sure they can get these kills, and Zeka with that final fight, making sure they can get this soul in the first place. Gen.G are stalling. They're waiting. They're buying time for this Infernal, Elder Dragon, sorry, so they can find their next fight. Chovy looking for some kind of flank though, has the Ahri ultimate. Ruler just picked up the BeryL. That's 4-item lethality poke. Varus now will dish out a lot of damage, but the later the game goes on, the more it falls off. 6 items poke champions never do too well, because at that point you have defensives, you have warmogs, you have full frontline tanks that can soak it up, you have lifesteal, so Ruler will be about as strong as he'll get for the rest of the game.
And without any setup CC, especially against a Gale Force on the opposite side, there's just so much movement speed. If you're just raw throwing arrows, it's very unlikely they'll hit. You have to throw them for Fog of War. You have to wait for some initial CC. Chovy now fishing for a pick on the Pyosik. But it was just the Ahri ult expiring, I believe, so not overcommitting here. Pyosik actually the one who wants to kick things off. He's going to get another charge out in that TP. Zeka's going to be spotted, though.
Yeah.
This is not quite the glorious flank he was hoping for. And Gen.G with priority access onto the Infernal. DRX have put themselves in a very tricky position. A minute still left to the objective, but all of the vision right now belonging to Gen.G.
Gen.G realized they cannot go through mid, so they have to go through bot. Chovy's been having the side push the majority of the game. The inhib's down, so they can keep these waves towards DRX's side of the map, which gives them a pocket to play a vision. But look at DRX, they're just barreling down mid. 40 seconds on that Elder Dragon spawn. They want to take the inhibitor, force Gen.G to base from that bot side respawn, but Zeka
careful, leaping in, forcing the flash out from Chovy, turning their attention instead. Everybody is recalling on the side of Gen.G. DRX have caught their opponents sleeping. And we'll look to take this inhibitor down, uncontested. But meanwhile, on the bottom side of the map, it is Peanut. Peanut trying to get a little bit more done. It's the 1v1 versus the top laner. Does he have the power? But no. Kingen just trying to buy time, just playing, maximizing the value out of the Infernal Soul procs.
Yep, he's playing around his cooldowns here, Kingen trying to chunk out Peanut as much as possible. DRX get the inhibitor. Peanut gets the bot wave in so deep that they can TP through bot. They have a vision pocket, they can play towards it. Ruder's gonna start it up. Gen.G want a 50-50. They want DRX to flip this dragon. It's their only way back in the game. Will DRX give it to them? Where will Kingen TP? He's gonna TP in the pit. The stare down from Gen.G. They want to finish this, but they don't have the health bars to tank it up. The poke, it's gonna miss. No flash on Chovy. Zeka, DRX are buying time for his ultimate.
There's no more room for split calls. It is Chovy on the bottom side. Chovy pushing for more. Chovy potentially looking to try and end or just at least leverage this wave in the bot lane, take open and take down that exposed inhibitor.
This is great from Chovy. They should be able to pick up this in. If DRX have to force this, Zeka stayed. He could look to end. DRX need to get this down quickly. Chovy doesn't have the TP, but he could end the game. Kingen's here. No TP. It's the 4v4.
As well. They're trying to force the fight. It could all come down to a 50-50. Pyosik versus Peanut in the pit, but they're trying to zone him away. Doran already getting chipped away. Chovy running the fight to the side of DRX. Redemption could down, but Peanut, no! He's buying time. Pyosik, you madman, you genius, holding on to hope. A lamb's respite, indeed, buying the dragon a brief break so they can take it down in the end. But still, Chovy remains standing. One man versus the world. Will he be enough?
Never one without the other. Pyosik on Kindred keeps the dragon alive. Peanut smites into the Lamb's respite. DRX are looking to end this game to death. 1v2 against Ruler Lehends. BeryL's behind him.
No inhibitor this time. DRX and Deft will take the Elder
DRX. That game one, they couldn't find a single play. But you give Zeka a playmaker, and he will give you some kills. Manages to find Ruler so many times in those fights. DRX get a lead, DRX stack the dragons, and just a clean execution, no panic. On the end towards the Elder, they send Kingen back to base to deal with Chovy, and Pyosik deals with Peanut.
Beautiful game, beautiful comeback from DRX again. The start of that game, Peanut dissecting the map, splitting the map. The dominance that we saw from Gen.G across game one and the start of game two was truly terrifying. But the fact that DRX fought back from that makes it all the more impressive.